Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live show. It's just me today. So that'll kill out 25, 30% of the people. Let's have a day. Hey, Derek, let's have a day. Welcome in. I'm going to make sure that we are going on the channels this week. Last week it was just the YouTube. This week, I'm hoping that the Facebook and the Twitter are working as well. So I guess if you're on one of those platforms and watching through that, it says YouTube's up. So that's good. D11B. Yo, what up? Welcome in. And welcome into everybody listening to this post hoc. Post hoc, I don't even know if that applies. Looking forward to the chat today. Glad to have you here, Steven. Lot to talk about. Coach Ferentz's press conference I just watched on 2x speed right before we went live. And God, I would hate to, just to stand up there and just take that Lystico coming after his ass, which I respect. Ooh, I respect. I couldn't ask that question. I couldn't do it to the man. That's why I can't be a real media member, because I could not sit there in that press conference and go and question Kirk. It would be the one flaw of anything of any, like, the real media job that you have to do for Drake and I. They did have to be asked that. Those questions did have to be asked. They grilled him pretty good. They did. I mean, they went after him hard for like the first 15 minutes of that press conference. And then, it was, and that's what they're going to ask him about. I wrote down some of the stuff. We're going to talk about it here in a second. Let me pull up the Facebook. Are we live on the Facebook? We are live on the Facebook. Okay, good. So we got 13 viewers there. Pull up the Twitter. Are we live on the Twitter? I don't know. It says we were supposed to be, but who knows? Hope y'all are doing well. It's still probably the work day for a lot of you. Only 36 people in here right now. No problem, Ben. Anytime you guys recognize me and my bald ass head in public, if you want a picture for some reason, I'll gladly take one with you. I heard a long time ago, early with our time in the program, that, and it was more so for the popular players, but it's like sometimes it gets annoying when people ask for pictures, and somebody's stance on that was like, there's going to come a day where no one cares anymore. You're not going to be relevant enough for people to want to stop you and take a picture. So while that time is here, you take advantage of that, and you indulge yourself and the fan. Kluver, Eichled in here. Jesus. This is turning into some real stuff. Your takeaway from our line of questioning today. I mean, from the line of questioning is perfect. Those are the questions that have to be asked. Coach Ferentz is obviously like the king of just, giving the he would be an unbelievable politician. Coach Ferentz would be an unbelievable politician, because he can just stand up there and answer those questions like he does. Give you an answer. Might even be able to talk for 2 minutes, and you never really get an answer. It was interesting. My takeaway was this, not so much from the line of questioning, but from his answers, was that it sounded like he truly believes that if the offensive line and the skill positions figure out their shit, that's going to drastically improve the performance of the offense, Spencer and the offense. That's what I got. He said that multiple times, alluded to it when he was talking about Gavin being back, which is good. Sounded like Gavin Williams is going to be back. Give us a strong 2. If you add in Caleb Johnson in there, a strong 3 back. stall. I don't know. What am I trying to say? Um, 3 backs to work with. Sounds like Nico is potentially going to be back. Keegan, maybe not so much. It sounds like he thinks that his Brian's the comments during these live shows are unbelievable. Is Brian's job on Indeed yet? Be interesting to know. I get emails from Indeed all the time. It's like, here's a job suggestion for you. University of Iowa offensive coordinator. I would be trash too. You guys would be running me out of town as well. Is Petras injured? I don't think so. I don't think Spencer's injured. I just know you as the guy who tripped over the 2-yard line. That's all I am. This is all I am. I am nothing more. And don't let anybody convince you otherwise. This is a whole other thing right here. Stoops and Fran cameos. I mean, I don't know who came up with that idea. People are smarter than me. But Padilla. There's a chance. I have questioned that as well. Is Padilla injured? Maybe. I don't think they would hide that. There's definitely a chance. With all the crap that they've taken, I would have to imagine that at this point, he'd just be like, yeah, Padilla actually isn't healthy right now. We don't feel comfortable putting him in there. Seems like a very easy answer, right? At which point people would be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like we can't, and then everyone would just be like, all right, then Labus is the option. Put Labus in then. But the cameos were gold, right? Like unless you're KF or Brian or somebody, that's funny. That's funny shit. People are smarter than tech guy. This is true. Yeah. I'm not the smartest one in the room. Rarely the smartest one in the room. Let me bring up my my list of things I wanted to talk about. Things that he said in the press conference. Sucks that Jermari Harris is going to be out for the year. Not sure what he did. I'm sure we'll get a full report on his injury at some point, but the fact that he's not available isn't so much a blow to the defense, although, Riley went out last year with a knee injury. You never know. We're already hurting health-wise. It obviously can happen and will happen. So you don't love that the depth gets hurt there, especially when the defense is going to be they are carrying this whole team right now, what's left of it. So don't love that, but hate it even more for the special teams production. Because him and Scary Terry Roberts, they made their name on special teams, which then sort of advanced them into the defensive rotation, but don't love that. We'll be okay. But obviously you want to see guys out there. I forget who asked. Might have been David. What do you tell Alex? Like, what's the conversation that you have with him? A guy who's waiting around and, wants to go in and play. And like, it came to my attention. I was like, so many people are like, if I was Alex Padilla, I'd be in the portal immediately. Okay. Obviously it's a little deeper than that, right? There's more that has to go into that. And it's not always, I know this is such a cliche saying, but the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Right? Hogan thought he could just transfer after a year. He'll go to Kentucky. Now I think he's the second or third string at Kentucky. He's not playing there. Like, it's the fear of burying your career because of a reset is very real. I'd love as we get 5-10 years into the portal era, I'd love to see the numbers on that. Spencer is ranked last in FBS football. Yeah, he's last. Statistically, the worst quarterback and the worst offense in the country. Congratulations, everybody in this chat. Well, I guess maybe not everybody, but probably most people in this chat and anybody who will listen to this after the fact, you are fans of the worst offense in college football. Body Armor, not a sponsor. As a long snapper, what do you think of the kicking game? Could be better. Definitely could be better. I left early from the game the other day. I was in attendance at Iowa State. I left whenever, I'm not sure. There was 2.5 minutes left, 3 minutes left. Thought there was absolutely no chance. Thought that Iowa State was just going to run the ball out, run the clock out. Somehow we got the ball back and ended up on the 48-yard line. The portal's never closed. Hawkeye Howard. We ended up on the further deep in than that. We somehow got to their 31-yard line. And now, granted, those conditions were absolutely trash, right? The percentage, the odds of making that kick, right? Even if you just run a guy out there and there's no stands and it doesn't matter, right? Even in a practice scenario, you might go 60%, 70%, maybe. I mean, it is extremely there was in the last 10 minutes of that game, real time, maybe 15 minutes. The amount of water that was coming down was bad. It was not good. Nevertheless, if you got a chance to make a 48-yard field goal to tie that thing, you should probably be able to do it. Yeah, he's KF is not volunteering any information. That's 100% right. It's my read on Coach Ferentz, and I've sat in a lot of meetings with the man, that he truly believes right now that the other components of this offense, having one receiver in Arlen Bruce, having one-ish running back in LaShawn Williams until now, having an offensive line that I heard it. I mean, the way he talked about the offensive line in that press conference wasn't good either. He was talking about how they have guys playing right now who were further along multiple weeks back. They're missing 2 guys. And now he's talking about the guys who are playing were better a couple weeks ago because they've taken steps back with injuries or just whatever it may be. So he thinks that getting Gavin back, getting Keegan and Nico back, and figuring shit out on the offensive line is going to significantly improve this offense, which there's an argument that could be the case. Because if we have Keegan, Nico, and Arland, that's arguably a pretty talented, albeit it's not going to be Purdue's offense, right? It's not going to be Texas Tech. It's not going to be, App State, who scores 60 a game, whatever. But those are 3 better receivers than we had when I played, when we scored a lot of points, right? I feel very confident in Gavin and LaShawn as running backs. And I think we do overlook, just because of the general, the offensive line always gets overlooked, right? Whether it's on the good side of things or the bad side of things. So when everything's going well, we're talking about how great the skill players are, how great the QB is. If you look, a lot of the times, those positions might not matter as much because the offensive line is just doing such a great job. They unsung heroes. They never get the praise that they should. On the same side, when things are going really bad, again, you look straight to those skill players. Why aren't we scoring touchdowns? Again, we might want to go inside and look there. As questioned as KF is right now, he is there every day. He does know the capabilities of those 5 linemen and them as a unit, and he also knows how much importance a solid, smooth, fully put together, in sync offensive line, how important that can be for an offense. So, if we get all those guys back and the offensive line figures some shit out, odds are we probably will look better. And, better might be 50 spots in the offensive ratings, right? We're still going to be 80th. We've proven that. And then that goes to some other issues where, that's probably Spencer's ceiling or Padilla's ceiling. Padilla is not in legal trouble. I promise you. Quint, I love the rumor mill. But if we found out that Casa Padilla was committing tax fraud or fucking had like we would know. Someone would know. There'd be proof. Like what legal trouble? You know? Kirk said it's not fair to assess, and you put asses, by the way. I'll read it as it is. Kirk said it's not fair to asses where Spencer is due to other factors. How do you think that makes the wide receiver feel? That I believe that Brian is asking, how do you think that makes the wide receiver that is playing right now feel? Isn't he saying they're not good enough? In a way, yeah. But that's not something that they don't know, right? They don't take that as a slight. There's a level of performance at which guys in a position room know, oh shit, like that guy, he's on the field for a reason, right? Kigo Niket, Jesus Christ, Kigo, that's our new receiver, Kigo. Nico, Keegan, and Arland are the top 3 for a reason, right? And the guys like Alex Wick and Brody and Jack Johnson, I'm sure but those guys know that they aren't quite there yet. And that's okay. They're not expected to be there yet. They're still going to go out and do the best they can. But like to some extent, these guys know that they're not all OBJ, right? Like they're pretty self-aware athletes. People know that, oh, he's better than me, I'm better than him. The guy beneath me is better than the guy beneath him. Like there's a pecking order. It's not hard to tell. So the fact that KF comes out and says, well, our groups aren't quite put together, and that's not even saying just personnel wise, that's just saying we've been working with these guys. And it's really important to get reps with a certain group. And now we have to work with these guys who have had less practice, less reps. That's a factor too. Right? This is a good question. Why does it seem like we're mixing the O-line so much? The answer is because they're getting their ass beat a lot. It is harder to get in a rhythm if you're always being in and out, taken out, put back in, going into a different position, being next to somebody else. But if they weren't doing anything, right? Let's take this to the quarterback conversation. If they weren't trying to mix and match the offensive line and figure it out, us as fans, or generally the proverbial fan out there, would be like, hey, why aren't we mixing it up on the O-line? Let's try some different combinations, right? Like the fan out there is always going to find what's not being done and say, why don't we do that? Because that's the easy, unknown, untested, idea that may work, right? So there's the double-edged sword there. All right. Thanks, Danimal. I love you. I loved animals when I was growing up. Just pop one of those little like yogurt Those things are unbelievable. You guys eat berries, by the way? Raspberries and blackberries? I have them every day for lunch. They make me feel like unbelievable. Just like top of the world. Let's take some calls. Well, let's see if the number will work first of all. But yeah, I thought it was interesting, and the biggest takeaway I had from that press conference was that Coach Ferentz truly believes that the offense will get to good enough, and Spencer will get to good enough when we can get our running back, wide receivers, and our line figured out. And that's why he's saying that it's unfair to assess where he's at. I don't think Spencer has the yips because every once in a while you see him throw a dart. Um, and I actually want to talk about this. The interception before halftime, while maybe not the best place to go with the ball, was one of his most accurate throws of the game, of the first two games. Sure, it got tipped. And of course, our luck, it gets tipped up right into a defender's hands. But if you go back and watch that pass, that's the only place you could throw it on a dime, on a quarter, where the receiver could catch it and the defender could not. Extremely accurate pass. In the first game to Arlen down the middle, extremely accurate pass. But it's only 1 out of 10. But somebody with the yips never finds it. They just straight up. And usually somebody, well, I guess that's maybe not true. I was going to say usually they throw low, but they could very easily just overthrow as well. Charlie Jones, got to treat your stars like stars. Jerry said that in the comments. Yeah, but the thing is the whole Charlie Jones situation right now is if Charlie was still on Iowa, he would not be doing what he's doing, right? And if you took Nico or Keegan, maybe not as much as Charlie is. And I think Charlie's numbers will come down. Like, I don't think that the first 2 weeks Charlie's going to do that to Big Ten teams. Although I suppose, well, he's not going to score 3 touchdowns against Big Ten teams. He scored one against Penn State. He might score a touchdown a game. His numbers they'll average out a little bit. It is an incredible race between Iowa's offense and Charlie Jones' production. But if Charlie was at Iowa right now, he'd have 10 catches for 100 yards. Like, Purdue's system would make Keegan look unbelievable. Would make Purdue's system might make me look unbelievable. Right? It's just the way they play football. Cool. Let's if you have a thought or a question, you can call in at that number. It should be working. Now, when I say should be, maybe it won't. And maybe when someone calls, you guys won't be able to hear it because this technology shit finds a way to bend me over every single time. Oh, Kevin, why is it the D-line doesn't get physically dominated and the O-line does, even though they have same strength conditioning coach? It's a good question. I had the same strength conditioning coach as the offensive lineman when I played, right? Coach Doyle was but if you threw me out there, I would have gotten dominated, right? So sometimes it's just the personnel. I think that's your first answer there is personnel-wise, baseline talent, our D-line is simply a lot deeper than our offensive line is right now. It just is what it is. Why is that? Well, we've had a couple guys retire. We've had Lindy and Wirfs. I mean, I think maybe Wirfs would have been gone by now, but we had Lindy go early. A couple guys got hurt, medically retired. I think we're, unfortunately, with the combination of some poor quarterback play as well, running into a really random and rare spot of just really unfortunate coincidence with O-line depth right now. And I know that's not what you guys want to hear. but that is a factor. Go back and look at the recruiting classes. The guys who got scholarships. Tons of injuries, tons of people who quit, tons of people who transferred, a couple guys who left early. It's just a really unfortunate sort of, it's like Lemony Snicket, unfortunate series of events. Chad Hayes, O-line is still an issue. Did more pull and trap blocking that work earlier in the ISU game. ISU adjusted. Hawks no plan after that. Maybe mix up play calls with zone, man, and trap and pull. I saw the same thing, Chad. I saw some different stuff. Again, and this is other things that you guys don't hear, but you come back, you can run whatever play you want. If the personnel, if the guys in the game can't execute it, whatever their assignment is, right? Whatever guy they're supposed to go and block, if they can't beat that guy across from them, it doesn't matter how good the play is. Doesn't matter. We could run the Rams offense, the Chiefs off. I guess that's a bad example. We could run the Chiefs offense because evidently, even without Tyreek Hill, they're still going to score 40. Murdered the Cardinals 2 days ago. And if we ran Andy Reid's offense, we would not score points like the Chiefs do. We don't have the guys. Depth is really the issue on the O-line. Why do they refuse to use the portal to their advantage? That is a question that I can't answer. It's a good question. I think that they got caught. I think they got caught this year. I think that. Why don't I have Dolph's call from Polecat? It's a good question, Trevor. I mean, the Kevin one's really good, right? Oh, not that one.
Kevin Ward, good to see him back out there.
Be nice to see him on this call with me. You guys know how hard it is to just talk to yourself? O-line is exponentially more difficult than D-line. In a way, sure, Lloyd, but that's not true. Every other than specialist, which is exponentially harder than a normal position in one specific way, every position has its intricacies that make it just as hard as something else. That's what I think, Hayden. I think they got caught. I think that they thought that this year, as bad as we were last year, and even last year, we were. I'm not sure how many points we scored a game last year. It wasn't a lot. It was more than we've scored this year. I think with what they saw last year, they thought, okay, this isn't normal for us. We will recover. Give us a year and we'll be better. We're Iowa. We're O-line U. Lindy, Tristan, Ike, Blythe, James Daniels, James Ferentz, Balaga, Reef, Sheriff, all these guys. We'll be fine. We'll replace one of these guys. Some of these guys are going to work out. And and I'm speaking from last year's mindset. Okay, bad year, 2021. There's no way it'll happen 2 years in a row. This offseason, we're going to get them right. By a whole offseason later, we're going to have a bet. Some of these guys are going to develop because they always do. And they didn't. They just didn't. And I don't know what that reason is. Maybe we found, again, I think it's just an unfortunate coincidence that we have a group of guys in there right now that are very close to their ceilings. And they're just okay to below average. And it's nothing on them as people. But the performance speaks for itself. I did think that the offensive line played better against Iowa State, which is a big deal, especially with Will McDonald, supposed All-American. Not supposed, he was an All-American last year and probably will be again this year in the pass game. Now, were we able to run the ball? No. And that's Iowa football to a core. So clearly we're still not even close, but we made improvements. In week 1, we were talking about, yes, improvements can be made week 1 to week 2. And we saw some of that. And Coach Ferentz said that. Here we go. I don't know if I'm supposed to answer that call inside the live right now. Because that's actually, I think, somebody calling me to do an interview. I'm not going to answer that. Unless the person calling me is in this live right now, say something so that I know you actually want to be a part of the show. And I'll turn the ringing down. Turf Monster got me. You're right. Turf Monster did get me. Is KF making BF run this offense so he can't get any other jobs and has to stay with him? What does that make any sense? Like, ask yourself that question. Is there any reason why Coach Kirk Ferentz would not want Brian to go somewhere else if that's what Brian wanted to do? And this actually brings up another thing. If you are out there and you're thinking somewhere along the lines, either it's so that he isn't wrong and he doesn't have to swallow his pride, or so that something involving Brian or whatever. If you think that Kirk Ferentz is intentionally holding back better players, Padilla, for instance, for his own fun game, sick game, to just throw the season in the trash, right? To tank. You're an idiot. Why would he do that? Let's think about it, right? I know we're in a dire spot. We're at the bottom. Didn't start from the bottom, but we're here. Why would KF throw the season or ever limit his own team from being good? And not only just that, but allow his team to become a laughing stock of the country. Why would he ever do that? It's just, honestly. They got bit in the ass not going to the portal for a QB. They did go to the portal for a QB. Hawkeye Howard, they did go. And they came up empty. There was 2 guys they were looking at, and they missed on both of them. They went somewhere else. They missed on them both. Why do we not recruit? Where'd that just go? Why do we not recruit a center? Why are we turning D-line into centers? That's a good question. Lindy and now Logan Jones. Sometimes we are recruiting a center. They just don't know it yet. They just happen to have been a D lineman in high school because they're so athletic. And the coaches have an idea of what they're going to be eventually. And sometimes they turn him into it right away. Sometimes they let that play out to see, oh, maybe he could be a D lineman or whatever. I'm guessing that Logan Jones, the idea with him was center was always part of the potential plan. And Lindy as well. But we do recruit centers. Oftentimes they're not even centers in high school. They're just the most athletic guy. James Daniels, unbelievable athleticism for an offensive lineman. I don't know if he played center in high school. He did not start at center when he came to Iowa. I believe he started at right tackle in a game versus Illinois in 2016. Might even been 15. As a young kid, and I think the guy's name was Smoot. Was it DeAndre Smoot? I don't know. Smoot worked James Daniels up and down. But James was so athletic that eventually, once he caught on, they're like, okay, let's put him at center because that's where you want your most athletic guy, right? And oftentimes your smartest guy too. Which portal QBs did they go after? We're not going to get into that. The only reason I'm not going to get into it is because I've heard other people not reveal that, and I don't want to be the guy to reveal it. Doesn't matter. We miss both. Can a lot of the non-run game be blamed on the fact that defenses don't have to worry about passes 10 yards down the field? Peter's average per. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not that we were throwing it downfield and airing it out before then when we did have a great run game, but absolutely. I bet if you asked Iowa State's defense and South Dakota State and probably Nevada before they even play us, they're sitting there going, well, this isn't very hard. We'll go one-on-one. Maybe we'll hedge a guy to Arlen's side and give a little bit of inside protection, a little bit of coverage on him, but we'll just go one-on-one because they're not hurting us with these guys, and we're going to stack that motherfucker. That box is going to be stacked like a 7x7 at Steak and Shake. And then it gets real tough. Because even when you have a guy on guy, right? It's still blocked for, right? We can still create the advantage. The problem is the space shortens. Right? So by the time on a normal play, a safety comes down, cracks down, they're hitting a guy at maybe 6-7 yards. That's a 4, 5, 6, 7 yard run play. Now when they stack that box, they're closing space. So they're getting to the ball faster. Right? We're still, our guys are still doing their job. But the backups on the defense, the second level, the third level, they're just so much closer. They're closing down that gap from which they would have to pursue. And so 4, 5, and 6 yard runs turn into 1, 2, and 3 yard runs. It's the reality. And Coach Ferentz alluded to it in the press conference. He said, yeah, it's harder it's definitely harder to run your whole playbook and open it up a little bit when you don't have the receivers to create that threat. Again, coming back to, I think he truly believes that when we get Keegan and Nico back, that it's going to change. Do I think that recruits will decommit? Probably not. I do not think that recruits will decommit. In fact, we got that 4-star dual threat quarterback from Florida the morning after. Kids, it doesn't not factor into their decision, but when you're a high school kid and oftentimes Iowa is one of the best options you have, it doesn't matter how bad they look. They're still going to fill out a class. There's guys who want to come and play. I was a long snapper, so it's not like I was making a big difference on the scoring front, but there's a lot of guys who they create this picture, this story of I'm going to be a Hawkeye. They make the commitment. They have really good relationships. And they believe they can go in and be part of the change. Or they can go in and be special on maybe a non-special offense or defense. I don't think you'll see a whole lot of decommitments. Oh, do you think Frost leaving, we can snag the coldest? Honestly, have you guys seen his AC commercial? Like his heating and cooling unit brand? It's pretty good. Are you considered that Iowa has had an undersized offensive line? We're not undersized. In fact, let me pull up the depth chart here and we'll just look at it. I don't know if it provides. So I mean, Mason Richmond. Are you saying that that's this year or not? This is one of the biggest lines we've had in a while, as far as size goes. Nevada gets a lot of turnovers on D. They're going to stack the shit out of the box for sure. Yes, they're bad. I think they're 105th offensively and 95th defensively, so they're a bad team. We at least are 6th in the country on defense. Hypothetically, we're left with Labus. You just give him the reins now. How much worse? And how much? He can't do much worse, and gives him time to get some experience. You're right. It would, right? The problem is it could get a lot worse. And I'll try to explain that. Labus is going to go out there, and he's not going to make a single check. Right? He's not there. Or he's going to be making the most basic checks. And even if Petrus isn't making like crazy, like super analytical, diabolical, Peyton Manning level audibles, he still knows, like, he's a smart kid and he knows what he's supposed to do. It's just once the ball is snapped, he has trouble doing it. So we're going to be in more predictable stuff than we already are. And we're not going to be able to get out of it if the defense does something on the fly. At least Petrus and Padilla probably give us that option. Second, while Petrus has turned the ball over, right? I think the number is in the last 9 games were like 10 interceptions to 1 touchdown or something, which is fucking unbelievably bad. We could be throwing 2 or 3 interceptions a game, right? So it could be worse. Could be worse. Again, this is where the breaking point of the Iowa fan base is right now, is you have to trust that the coaches know what they're doing to some extent. I get it. There's a little bit of fun, right? There's a little bit of fun right now in the fact that Iowa's offense sucks. It's free reign. As a fan right now, I can basically say anything and no one's going to disagree with me. You can throw any idea out there, anything, and everyone's just like, yeah, fuck it. Let's try it. That doesn't take away from the fact that a lot of the ideas or the insinuations are dead wrong. You have to trust that the coaches are still trying to win football games and they still know more than you, because they do. They know more than you. They know more than me. And we can speculate all we want. But along with the fact that I think Coach Ferentz really wants to see Petrus have a line and a wide receiver and a running back collectively that's up to par with what they thought they were going to have, there's still a part of me that trusts that Padilla simply has shown that it's not going to be any different with him. And he kind of showed that last year when he came in, right? I had somebody today on Twitter tell me it's laughable that Petrus hasn't been pulled, and maybe that part is true. Padilla was so much better in his small sample size last year. And I said, was he so much better? Or was he just more excitingly similar? Right? The production was very similar. And sure, maybe he makes it more exciting when he runs out of the pocket once in, but the results are the same. That being said, I'm still on Team Padilla here. I say order the case of Padilla and put that motherfucker in. Get him in. Why not? Because again, it's not like we're winning Heisman's with Spencer at this point. We might as well try it. Oh. Here's something. I don't think people are overacting. Nick, I appreciate the thoughts, man. I don't know how at all you see 9-3 if the offense, because what is, and I understand there's a vague statement here of if the offense figures it out. Okay, if this offense figures it out, what does that look like? 20 points a game? At this point, that sounds, order up. I'll take it. Whatever you got, I'll take it. 20 points a game from this offense, that would probably be more than figuring it out. Do you think that that's going to beat? That's against an average team. Do you think that's going to beat Ohio State and Michigan and Purdue? I don't. So there's 3 losses. And then you still have Illinois, who looks somewhat okay. On a year where they have the offense figured out, it's still hard to beat Northwestern, Illinois, Nebraska. Minnesota's, and I get it, they've played trash teams. I mean, they're literally basically just playing tackling dummies out there for the first 2 weeks. But Minnesota right now is number 1 in total defense and number 1 in total offense. They're number 1 in the country out of 131 in both categories. I don't care if they're playing the alphabet soup team that Cooper DeJean's from. That'd be impressive against them. If this team goes 9-3, that would be a miracle. An absolute miracle. Frost is looking for a new job. How funny would that be if they hired him for Iowa's OC? We'd score more. We would score more. This is a good observation. Either Petrus starts, looks horrible, more outside noise, or you make a change. You're right. But also, again, KF doesn't care. If Padilla is going to come in and they're going to start winning football games and the noise is going to quiet down, it's going to turn into, would have been nice to have this the first 2 games. Then what's the effect, right? A 3-point loss in the Cyhawk. Sure, it sucks, but doesn't matter when it comes to the Big Ten season, right? So if we start riding the ship during the Big Ten season, we all of a sudden win the West, no one's going to care. So KF doesn't care if he's winning or not, right? They know more than you. They do. All right. (27-33) with Queso Padilla. They did, right? They did. Here's the deal. They had receivers and they had a healthy O-line, and it was near the end of the season, right? Also had Tyler Goodson. I'm not. I don't disagree with this. Illinois has shown to be effective in a few different parts. Do I think it's time for an offensive change? Something has to change. We got to be able to get into plays. We have to spread it out more. I'll be honest. And I've said this before on the podcast. I'm not the guy to come to for offensive intricacy. Right? I'm not an offensive guru in football. I don't know shit. I know as much as you guys or less. But I do know one thing. That if you're going to play the way Iowa wants to play, in 2022, after people have had 20 years to figure out KF's system, and football, the game has evolved, right? In 20 years, you have to be able to, some of the time, spread it out and get guys out of the box and create space. especially when you don't have the overwhelming talent. That's if we just had equal talent to the teams we were playing. And right now we don't, on at least available at receiver. What we're throwing out there as a 5 offensive line, you have to do that when the talent's equal. When it's less than equal, you need more than that, and we're not even getting that. So yeah, the plays work if you can get the guys to if you can get them to KF doesn't care if he's winning or not. Tyler Kulik. I don't know why the Kulik on the end of that. KF does care if he's winning the games. I suppose that's a bad quote that I said. KF does care if he's winning the games, and the context of this is he doesn't care if his personal opinion or his pride is winning, right? Or that he was right, as long as they are winning and doing better on the football field. He most definitely cares about winning. I haven't even seen the kick from the end, Trevor. I would imagine that all parts of the operation were just a nanosecond off a little bit because of the wet. He missed when it was dry from 40 yards. So to be honest, if we weren't so bad on offense right now, the kicking game would be talked about a lot more. So it's probably a good thing for those boys, because right now they're 1 for 3 in 2 games. That's not great. All from within 50. Tracy, I get it. And part of this, Tracy, too, is it just gets annoying, right? Like, even for me to come on here and talk for an hour about Iowa football and answer these questions and sort of speculate on quarterback and offense and offensive line and receivers and all this stuff, it does get like, we're at a part where it gets really annoying. Again, that goes back to sort of everybody has this opinion right now, and no one's technically wrong because we're so bad, right? So it seems like everyone's a genius out there right now. Everybody's got the answer. This holds true more than just about anything. Swish believes it's a lack of talent and health. That's definitely what I was hearing from KF today, and I would have to agree. I am in the camp that if you put Padilla in, we get 1 or 2% better, because on 4 or 5 offensive plays out of the course of an entire game, he's going to be able to scramble, and maybe 2 or 3 of those times he's going to be able to extend one set of downs. Right? That is not enough production to all of a sudden put 24 points on the board offensively. Right? Like, that's the other thing we have to talk about here. Oh, great. Padilla's going to scramble when he comes in. Okay. So we're going to rely on Padilla scrambling and making throws on the run and maybe running for a first down 20 or 30 times a game. We'll have Padilla for 1 game, and he'll be knocked out and be missing his entire mouth of teeth. That's how you get a guy hurt. It just is what it is. Like, we can't rely on that. That's a safety valve. That's a 6 or 7 times a game kind of thing. It's not going to all of a sudden make these drastic changes. I will say one thing that's kind of overlooked is Padilla, at least every once in a while, takes a bit of more of a chance. If you guys remember in the Northwestern game last year, his first play, he threw the ball up to, was it Keegan? Like, took a chance on him, right? He wasn't necessarily open, but threw it up there and let the receiver make a play, and he did. So maybe 4 or 5 times a game we take a chance. Again, though, And that whole conversation of it could be worse. If we start doing that, does Padilla now turn around and throw 3 or 4 interceptions in a half because he's taking chances? Is that the reason why in practice he doesn't look as good because he's out there taking chances and the defense is just picking him apart? It's possible. How long do you think X is ready to show out? For him to be super effective, he needs this first year to put on like a solid 4 to 8 pounds of like good weight. He's obviously an insane athlete, 5-star athlete, right? But if you look at guys like Schulte and Cooper and Kayvon's a fucking tank. And Riley might be your skinniest guy, but even he is, he's pretty muscular. I think X is, it's hard to explain and even quantify with numbers and body weight sometimes. There's just something to being like college body ready, which I think he already is. But for him to do what you said, to show out, kind of like he did in high school, it's gonna take him a year, and he'll get there. I don't know why my camera keeps going blurry. Who's responsible for the talent in the Iowa football program? Everybody? I don't know. Not sure that's a great question. Obviously it starts with the coaches recruiting them, and then it's on the guys to fulfill their potential while they're there. I don't know. I'm just here for the bush light and punting. Tyler Bodman. Yeah, I mean, you and many. More bush light for you too, because I'm not drinking any. But I'm here for the punting. I think Tory Taylor's family is in town. They're gonna get to see him play this week, so that might even be the highlight of the week. Keeping Peterson because Nevada is definitely the worst team we'll play all year, and it will be a confidence game for him. Also putting the backup in it in the easiest game. Yeah, I said this on Twitter. I thought that it makes sense to keep Spencer in this week. Let's be honest. I put that up 25. I had that thought realistically, but 50% of the reason I actually tweeted it was because I just knew it would do stupid interaction numbers, and you're just playing a social media game, right? Because let's think about it, right? You put Padilla in this game, and then the question is, okay, if he does well, I guess there's no real detriment to putting Padilla in if it's that close, right? But it seems to be not that close. Otherwise, he would have been in by now. So you leave Spencer in. If he's ass at halftime, you're like, all right, buddy, it's been a good run, but it's time to go a different direction. It's the worst team of the year by far that you're going to play. And then you put Alex in and you move on from there. This might be true. I only love him because he expressed several opinions that were also mine. So I'm just being, I'm super biased. And some of these comments, some of the times go so fast that I can't keep up. And then I just look at the latest one. It's the last one I see. All the numbies, Trevor. We will lose to Nevada with Spencer. I don't see any other way. I don't think that's true. I think Nevada is worse than you guys think they are. Look at this fucking guy. I'll come back to that question in a second. Fucking tuning in. I'm pretty sure he gets off at 5, by the way, so you should be working still, Zach. Blaine, how was the locker room during the 2014 back and forth quarterback situation? Were there guys that were Team Rudock and Team Beathard? Did the locker room get affected by the QB situation? I don't think the locker room got affected. They were pretty close. Realistically, in practice, again, it's so hard. It's so extremely hard to really know from practice because you're playing your own defense who knows. Like they do it all. They do it for 4 years every day. They know the offense's plays, right? There were definitely a bunch of guys who thought that we'd like to have CJ in. But that was just because CJ was like he meshed more with the locker room than Jake did. Rudock. I don't want to go against Rudock here, and I was a freshman at the time. But what I saw was Rudock didn't have very many friends in the program. Kind of kept to himself. And CJ was a guy's guy. He was a teammate you wanted to have and hang out with on the weekend, and um, that was the reason more so than any that CJ won the locker room over. And it just so happened that he went out there and balled out and was able to use his feet as well and become the golden goat, uh, as we say. But I don't know. There was no like serious in the locker room. There was zero like animosity of like we're pissed that Jake's still the quarterback, right? Um, the backup, I don't. I mean, who's gonna? Who? I mean, I don't know. Like I said, they tried to go after a couple quarterbacks in the portal and they missed. Like I don't think anybody wants to come here. And maybe that's true or not true, but I'll take anybody at this point. It's a good point. Circle Herc, great name by the way. It's another 7 points against South Dakota State. It's another 7 points against Iowa State. Still doesn't put us in a great spot as far as how many people were or how that offense stacks up nationally, but missed a couple field goals. I mean, you're probably missing 10 points from both games. But that's just the way it's going to go. Like Spencer and Brian are going to get the brunt of it. We'll go for about 10 more minutes here. Here's my thing with this. I honestly don't know. You never fold. You never fold. When you wave the white flag, that's just not in the DNA of at least college football teams, right? And which goes back to me saying like there's no reason KF is throwing this season, or there's just not even a little bit of a chance of that in any way. But I don't think he'd ask the captain's opinion on it. I don't. I do think it says something that Spencer isn't a captain. I haven't heard a single thing about Carson May. Not a single thing. CJ was a run threat for sure. That's just 6'5" gunslingers. You're asking some decade-long problems here. They look so good, right? Like recruiting's hard. I mean, Petrus, go look at his high school tape. Kid balled out. You just don't know. Captains are chosen by the players. Captains are chosen by the players. Cooper DeJean Wildcat. We need it. We do need it. We need it. It's too late to put it in now, but I think it'd be something to mess with in the offseason. And again, that probably won't happen because they just don't want to spend that much energy on it. But what kind of pop would Cooper get if they ran him out there? If they ran Cooper DeJean out there and he was in the middle, the fucking clap. Adrian Martinez clap. You know? LaShawn and Gavin next to him. I mean, none of them would be able to see over the offensive line, but screw it, right? Maybe they get lost in there, wiggle around, squirt out. Um, it's rare that people actually ball out in practice and then just can't do it in games. I think this is less about Spencer looking insanely good in practice and then not transferring it to the field, and more about Padilla looking drastically worse in practice. That's my read on that. That would be my answer. The pop when Sheriff came back into that Iowa State game was wild. But you're right. I think at this point, that place might fall down to its beams. The infrastructure of the stadium would be unstable if they ran Cooper DeJean out there in a Wildcat offense. Oh God. That would be unbelievable. You're probably going to get the same answer here on this question. At what point should the position coaches on offensive units should be, if at all, given some criticisms? I bet that Copeland feels a little bit handcuffed right now. Because he's got, you're always going to have a room of 10 receivers or whatever, maybe 8 receivers. I don't know how many are on the team. But in Iowa's offense, you're only going to make 1 or 2 happy. Right? So he's sitting there going, "Yeah, man, I'm trying to get you reps. I'm trying." So I wouldn't really critique him too much. He's kind of put in a bad spot. But again, these guys know what they're getting into, right? The running back, Liddell Betts, I think he has done an unbelievable job recruiting. And again, the running backs have been not super healthy, and to this point have had a lackluster run game offensive line to run behind. I think Barnett is under the most question here. Yes, Iowa practices 1v1s. Swish fan club. Unbelievable. I think Barnett is the guy who has to be questioned the most. The offensive line production and talent and overall outlook has gone downhill since Brian and the 2016 team won the Joe Moore Award, right? And you can't win the Joe Moore Award every year, but you'd think that you'd be able to maintain a level of excellence where it's like, hey, we're a perennial top 20 offensive line. Every couple years we get up there in the top 10, and then, maybe once every 5 or 10 years, you can be in the conversation for best in the country as a unit. We're not there. We're not there. So I'm going to leave it there. I appreciate you guys joining. I enjoy this live format. You guys might not enjoy it as much without Drake, but Drake is going to be here for the lives for a lot of them. He just simply, after this Iowa State loss, just does not want to talk anything football right now. Fist fight. Padilla and Petrus fist fight. Yeah, so we can bring in the guy, whoever gets more beat up, and then they'll just be even more, just not ready to go. Fun format. I enjoy going back and forth with you guys on the chat. And a lot of this was, I probably missed a couple calls because I didn't have the call number up here today. But that was because I got most of the interaction through the comments and no one was really calling in at the beginning. So it'll continue to evolve. Again, I'm still getting used to this format of standing here and interacting with comments, putting it up on the screen, answering it, trying to get the topic out. I read the questions because for those who now listen to this back as an audio file, they have no idea if I just answer something and don't start with the question. So there's a lot to manage here. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. maybe your Tuesday afternoon was made a little bit better by this. If you want more content, you can check out, well, first of all, subscribe. You see this little thing up here in the corner? This great overlay that I put up, which, by the way, I can do cool stuff, right? I can take that overlay down. I can put up our logo. I can make my name in different formats. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Patreon.com/washedupwalk-ons. If you still want a taste of Drake each week, we do our DHG podcast where we don't talk about football. We talk about life and other stuff. Oh goodness. Bo Bauer. Bo.
Yeah,
Bo.
hello.
What's up?
Yeah, I don't know if I caught you. Are you guys still doing your show?
I was just signing off, but you're on the air right now.
Oh, hey, what's going on, dude?
I'm hanging out. We're trying to figure out how to score points offensively. You what's going on in Bo Bauer's life right now?
Oh, just doing the Kevin Ward thing, but better, obviously.
Yeah, turn signal Bo.
Yep. So same deal as Kevin, but kind of driving around selling implants. And,
hey, you know what we need? We need a little Heinz ice cream date.
Ooh, yeah, little Heinz ice cream. You know what I saw? I saw that the Prez was in town and did the airliner pizza.
Yeah,
that is bullshit. Like, and everyone was telling him to go to Poly Eyes. Like, the fact, I know they don't open till 4, but that pisses me off so bad. Like, Poly Eyes is easily the go pizza in town. It's not even close.
Yeah, I remember when we went there a couple times. Kevin and I definitely reviewed Poly Eyes. Do you remember the pizza reviews we used to do?
Oh yeah, you should bring them back.
Well,
and just do the Iowa City pizza review
and put them up on the Walk-Ons channel.
Yeah, I would just have a fucking rating and be done with it.
Bo, do you have any opinions on the Iowa football team right now?
It's tough, boys.
It's tough.
The big, I mean, talking about puke worthy. I mean, I don't know if you mentioned it on this live deal, but those deals that were sent out to like Bob Stutz and Fran, I can't. Did you mention that at all? I don't know if you did.
I talked about it a little bit. It was, I mean, we're literally, the program is we are a meme right now. We're a joke.
The fact that, like, especially with Fran doing it, that makes it like even worse. Like that is not good. That's not good.
No.
And that's a big toughie. Other than that, I don't know. I mean, you and Kevin and Drake kind of hit it on the head with everything that's going on. So I'm not going to kind of spill my guts and do it too much. Especially, I know you have to get off the air, but I'll call back in. I'll call back in a little earlier next week, and hopefully we got a better outcome, boys.
Yeah, we would love to have you. Drake will be here too. We miss you, man. We miss you.
Yeah, you too. And if Drake's gone one of these times, maybe I'll put my number in there. I can fill in for that fucking idiot.
Oh, hell yeah.
He decides not to get on sometimes, but I know he's a little emotional, so I think
a little bit. I will gladly have Bo Bauer as my co-host, no doubt.
Do I need to get any fancy equipment?
No, we can talk about it off air. It wouldn't be that big of a deal.
All right, sweet. I'll let you get off the air then, boys. I'll talk to you later.
See you, bro.
Go Hawks. See ya.
Bo Bauer, everybody. Bo Bauer at the end of the call. You get a little extra nugget today. And that'll be fun if we can get Bo on as a co-host, but say it ain't so, Bo. Yep. Thank you guys for being here. I see that we were on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube today, so that's good stuff. And I'm going to put this up. The video will go up on our YouTube channel. The audio will go up on our podcast feed. So if you only caught some of it, you can listen to the entire format. We talked about a lot of stuff. I gave a lot of opinions. I'll leave with this. LeVar Woods has so much money stuffed into his pockets from the performance of the special teams that it's absolutely unbelievable. The guy is swimming in cash. For those that are fans of the Walk-Ons, you'll hear us on Thursday. We will preview Nevada. It'll be me and Kevin. Hope to see you there.